Breast milk is the first and most important primary source of nutrition for newborns. Mothers are advised to feed their babies exclusively for the first 6 months of life before introducing other foods. August is Breastfeeding Awareness Month and the week is the World Breastfeeding Week. The theme for this year's Support Breastfeeding for a Healthier Planet aims to call on governments to protect and promote women's access to skilled breastfeeding counseling, which is a critical component of breastfeeding support. And I have joining me to talk more about this, the head of nutrition, United Nations Children's Fund, Nigeria, Simeon Nanama. Good to have you join us, Senior Nanama. Now, you have been in Nigeria for a while, and what are some of the constraints you have seen when it has to do with exclusive breastfeeding by mothers?
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk about such an important topic, which is breastfeeding. The major constraint when it comes to feeding children appropriately with breast milk from birth to 6 months is the interference in the feeding process with a lot of other non-recommended food, and including liquids, and especially water. Just to give you an idea, currently, out of 100 babies that are born in age less than 6 months, only 27 are receiving exclusive breastfeeding from 0 to 6 months. And a vast majority of the 73 remaining are not exclusively breastfed because they are being given water. And that's a major constraint. And there are so many beliefs that are associated with feeding children with water that are difficult to remove. But if we manage to remove water from the feeding of those children, we would significantly increase the rate of breastfeeding and therefore protect the newborn and the young children.
Right, so is there any correlation between level of maybe income inequality and breastfeeding? Because we know that as babies get older, they tend to eat more, which means that parents have to breastfeed them more, and the parents also have to eat more to stay to have that level of energy. So, is there any level of any correlation between income inequality and breastfeeding?
Yes, I would like to start by saying that in Nigeria and like in Africa, breastfeeding is quite universal. Like mostly all mothers, they breastfeed their children. The challenge comes when we talk about exclusive breastfeeding, which is not giving anything else than breast milk to the child up to the age of 6 months. And when we look at the data available, we can see that there is a disparity and some level of inequity when it comes to exclusive breastfeeding. But ironically enough, people who are from the rural areas and who tend to be less wealthy tend to breastfeed a bit more than those who are wealthier. And that is justified by the fact that households with relatively high income tend to rely on breast milk substitute to feed their children. And this is not what is recommended by the WHO. And this is something that is concerning, especially in Nigeria, where we have a significant network for the private sector.
All right, so we know that UNICEF and World Health Organization are advocating access to skilled breastfeeding counseling. Tell us more about that and how important it is.
Yeah, it is important to support mothers to exclusively breastfeed. When we are talking about exclusive breastfeeding, we tend to think that it is something that is easy, but actually it is not. And mothers are facing very specific constraints and challenges when it comes to breastfeeding. For some of them, it is just a feeling that they are not producing enough breast milk. For others, it's that the baby is weak and cannot, suckle, because suckling is on its own a stimulus for the production of breast milk. For others, again, it is associated with nipples issues and pain. And every single mother-child couple has a very specific challenge when it comes to breastfeeding. And therefore, we need people who are really well-trained and who are knowledgeable to be able to engage with each of the mother per child to understand the challenges they are facing and advise them appropriately so that they can have a proper breastfeeding, which I think should be something that mothers are doing with a lot of pleasure. And that's is critically important to make sure that we have the head staff that are trained and qualified and have the time to pay the attention to every single mother and child pair when they have contact with them and support them and advise them on how to adequately breastfeed.
Head of Nutrition, UNICEF Nigeria, Simeon Nanama, thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much.